Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast, Stacy, Personally Speaking, where my thoughts become known. This is Season 1, Episode 152 of the Journey 365 series. Today's episode is about Strengthen My Heart, Oblivious, and Flooded. I opened my eyes after 6 o'clock this morning, which I thought was a pretty decent time. I got up, grateful that I was able to move about freely, and made my way to the bathroom. Once I returned, I started my devotions. But today was a little different. I was more off than usual. The discomfort caused by my sinuses was unbearable and frustrating. I tried my best to focus on meditating on the word and prayer. When I came up on these words spoken by Paul, it helped me to pause for that moment and consider my humanist and dependence on God. And Paul said, "For who maketh thee to differ from another? And what hast thou that thou didst not receive? Now, if thou didst receive it, why dost thou glory as if thou hadst not received it?" 1 Corinthians 4, verse 7 of the King James Version. I can never pretend as if anything that I have received or anything that I am able to do isn't from God. All that I am is encapsulated in God's desires and plans for me. And so it is not for me to despair, even though I was having such a difficult time this morning. Somewhere deep in my spirit, these words were echoed. Strengthen my heart to hope in the face of adversity. My sinuses made me quite unstable this morning and unable to concentrate during my devotions. I was distracted as thoughts went back to the quercetin antihistamine supplement. I spent over half an hour checking various selling sites and comparing products on offer. The supplements I had bought recently seemed to contain very small doses of antihistamines, since I hadn't bought them as antihistamines specifically. As I examined my condition and how I was feeling, I realized that what I needed was to stop or greatly reduce the amount of mucus my body was producing. It's just too much. Until I leave Japan, I will have to re-enter the supplement world. The elementary school students were back in school as I heard their familiar footsteps and the chit-chatter of voices. I managed to see the backs of the last few students making their way past my apartment window. I was dragging a bit this morning and wanted something familiar to help to ground me. I wanted a green smoothie. This meant I had to go to the supermarket again. I made my way first to the convenience store to make a second payment on my residence tax of 21,000 yen. Yes, the second payment. After that, I went to the supermarket and bought the high-priced spinach. I wanted the real smoothie taste I'd grown accustomed to over the years. The spinach was almost twice the amount that I would normally pay for it when it's in season. But since I knew it was going to be expensive, it really didn't matter to me. After I had examined the supplements at home, I had concluded that I would not be buying quercetin anytime soon, and so I didn't need to go to my nearby drugstore to see whether or not they had it. But of course, curiosity got the best of me as I left the supermarket and I decided to go anyway. But guess me what? It no luck. My supermarket opens from 7 in the morning. And I absolutely love that. But everything else around the area tends to open at 9 or 10 o'clock, including the drugstore, which opens at 10. I had done some more research on the quercetin and other naturally derived antihistamines, and from that reading, they actually recommended getting it from supplements because we simply cannot consume the amount of food necessary to provide us with sufficient each day. And if I may add, especially being in Japan for me. And I can imagine for someone suffering from allergies or sinus issues, the amount that is needed is going to be even far greater. There was so much going on in my mind. Once I returned home, I went straight into the kitchen to start making the smoothie. I had bought 1 orange, an avocado, the spinach, and the chocolate snack. For the life of me, I couldn't understand why the orange and the avocado were put in plastic bags, let alone separate plastic bags. Only Japan, no so. It was feeling like 33 degrees, even though 9 o'clock hadn't come yet. By just a few minutes after 9, the temperature had a feeling of 36 degrees. I could feel myself struggling to breathe, even though the humidity was 63% at that time of the morning. The weather suggests there might be some rain on Wednesday and Thursday, so maybe there's a bit of high pressure in the atmosphere that my body is detecting. As a result, I turned on my aircon and put it on the dehumidifier setting. Oddly enough, my smoothie got an okay from me today, but it didn't feel like my usual, which I haven't had in quite a while, to be honest. It might have been the addition of the avocado seed powder, which was very distinct, or the fact that I had completely replaced the orange with pineapple instead. I put the pineapple skin to boil on the stove. You know how we do it in Jamaica. Then I allowed it to draw over the heat alone. I sat down and tried to enjoy my smoothie. Not that it wasn't delicious, but because my mind was so distracted and my sinuses were not helping either. There are quite a few things that I know required my attention, and I really wanted to just get to them. But how I was feeling physically was such a hindrance to that. After my devotions this morning, I had no kind of oomph to try and exercise or stretch or do any sort of cardio, even though they were resting on my mind. There was the matter of the floor mats that was taking way too long to finish. Why do I always have to be such a perfectionist? Then there was the matter of the worksheet for the high school coming up on Thursday. It will be my first day back after 6 weeks, and it is only in this final week before I resume that I am going to be addressing the worksheet. Why? Because I was waiting on what was originally agreed on with my company. After having my smoothie and taking 3 sets of supplements, I proceeded to take up the kitchen mats after a short time on Amazon. It was then that I noticed my phone flash a message. 2 hours later, I sat down back at my entertainment spot. My mind was completely dazed. I had thrown some things together for lunch, literally, as I tried to relax and allow my mind to settle. I couldn't believe I had almost missed my online class today. It had been 3 weeks of not teaching this class, and then today, Monday, came, and I was totally oblivious to the day of the week, much less the time. I had just finished writing reviews of the hand brace and the food processor on Amazon. I sat down to complete sewing the kitchen floor mats, which I'd started from last night. That's when I saw a missed call from my company when the phone lit up. My phone is almost always on silent or vibrate. even when I'm at home. Bad habit. And today it was on silent, though I can't say since when. It was a good thing that the phone was right in view and actually lit up to announce the missed call that came at 10:35. Even when I saw that missed call, it never came to mind why I was being contacted. Thankfully, my company knew this was out of character for me, and I was able to have the class. The students were quite forgiving, and the lost time set to be made up over a few classes. I didn't like the state of mind I had been in prior to the class, and then the incident put me in another unprecedented state of mind. I know I've always been saying that I have to check my schedule all the time, like all the time. But I had failed to do that today. In fact, I remembered maybe yesterday or 2 days ago that I had opened the Google Calendar on my laptop, intending to input all my teaching assignments on it. I believe this was brought on as a result of the most recent part-time job that I am set to start in September. Also, with one of my jobs, after 8 weeks, I lose a student, meaning the lessons with them ends. So my schedule frees up in one area and then it's filled at another time when more classes are made available. But I had not gotten around to inputting the data in the Google Calendar at all because of all the different activities my mind has been focused on. Today's incident, however, reaffirms that I cannot do this, or would rather not do these multiplicity of jobs as a freelancer. Because if you know me, I have everything written down and can be seen as one of the most organized persons. But something is evidently amiss. I've been feeling overwhelmed and I didn't even realize just how much I was being engulfed by it. After lunch, I had planned to go back to sewing the kitchen mats, but it never happened until almost 4 o'clock. I had briefly glimpsed the many emails that were now coming in due to the full resumption of classes and online lessons after the summer break. My head was in a tailspin of what to do and what not to do. There was new information about new students coming in, new information about the high school and plans going forward, new contracts from the latest addition to my part-time jobs. All of this was coming in all at once. I updated my schedule, made notes about one of the new students, and downloaded the new teaching material. I needed a break and something sweet. So I grabbed the newly discovered chocolate snack, which is also like a wafer, and added it to some warm coconut milk. I finally got back to sewing the floor mats and watching the rest of a movie I'd started earlier today. I finally finished the floor mats, and instead of taking a break after that, I started searching for more Japanese studying resources. I don't need anything new at this time because I already have so much at my disposal, which is being underused. God be my help. And I'm almost ashamed to say that my laundry has gone unfolded 3 days now. But I am going to ensure that I do it this evening. If it's the last thing I do before I go to my bed. What a day, what a day. Thank you for journeying with me on today's entry. Please support me by leaving a comment below or sharing this with someone who might enjoy the journey with me. Remember to follow my blog to get posts directly in your inbox at stacypersonallyspeaking.wordpress.com. Thank you for listening.